good afternoon, good evening, and good night. It's nighttime here. It is currently 8:15. The savings time, the time savings happened today. So of course, more light. I think it is. We sprung forward to get more light or whatever. Yeah. So that happened today. Last video, to kind of hop right in, I wanted to come back to my stutter for just a little bit. Oh, by the way, last week we celebrated Women's Day, International Women's Day. So thank you, women. Thank you, mothers. Thank you, aunts. Thank you, daughters. Thank you, sisters, for existing, for being here for us, for birthing us, for caring for us, for all that you do for us. I'm grateful for you, as well as, of course, the world showed that last week on your day as well. So shout out to you guys. Thank you. So yeah, my stutter. So it's interesting. I think 2 years ago, January or so, I wanted to take a particular interest in working through my stutter. And I realized that my stutter came, of course, by way of anxiety. And in some research, January, I think it was 2019, 18, 17 or so, I came across some interesting information about breathing and how breathing is a way to become more mindful. And mindful keeps you present, because anxiety is a fear of what's going to happen in the future. And if you're here now, then you have a lot less stress and a lot less anxiety in your spirit. So that time, beginning 2017 or so, I began to really think more about mindfulness, being present. I began more in earnest. I think it was that year or that month. I began more in earnest my blog on Medium as well, and that started to give me a more mental picture on how I could have my stutter and my word run together quelled a little bit, and it helped. It definitely helped, personally, of course, and then of course in other situations as well. Funny thing is interesting and not sad, but definitely interesting. My anxiety, of course, comes by way of certain situations where I'm with people that I don't know, that I'm unfamiliar with, that I'm unsure of, and those times are the times whenever I have the anxiety and my words kind of muddle together. Right now, in this video, it's not. So at some point, I may become anxious and more in depth, and you may be able to see more of the stutter and the word together. But if not, that's okay. Just know for a fact that when I am in situations at work and other situations out and about, that it definitely does happen. But I'm just grateful to be able to know that I have this thing called mindfulness, called presentness, called being present, and breathing. And the breathing is definitely a tool that I can use to become more mindful, to become more present with myself, to become more aware of myself, to slow down, to give this body some more power to push out words, to push out sounds, to push out things. I can remember whenever I would stutter, I would begin to feel like I'm running out of breath. And whenever I breathe, I can, of course, become a lot more fluent as I speak too. One other small tip, and we're going to move on. A favorite artist of mine, Esperanza Spalding, I noticed for many of her interviews, whenever she spoke, she would always breathe just like that. And it was really cool to see as she did. And I'm thinking about it now. I think about it often whenever I do hear myself breathe. I think about those videos and how she is so fluent and she's so smooth with her speech too. So just something to think about personally. Again, a little bit about me and my stutter and how I'm overcoming it, becoming more aware of it, getting through it, and wanting to enunciate better, have less stress, have less anxiety, and a myriad of other things in my life as well. So that's that. We're gonna go ahead and shift and change and go to yoga. So two things physically with yoga. I want to kind of, first of all, define it to kind of help clarify what could be a confusing thing about what the practice of yoga is. And then I want to talk a little bit about how I've kind of grown in a couple areas personally and with it as well. So with my studies with yoga, I found that a question on it was, in my own words, define the word yoga. And I thought it would be simple and basic or whatever, and it's not. The more I studied it, of course, the more in depth it gets and the more detailed it gets. What I found so far to be a definition of yoga is this: yoga is both a destination and the transportation. Yoga is both where you arrive and how you arrive. Yoga is what happens as you arrive. Yoga is to unite and to be united. Yoga is a living science. And that by itself kind of explains what I've discovered so far from studying the information over the past couple of weeks. That yoga is how you get to where you want to go to, and it's how you and it's what you arrive at once you get to there as well. It's a practice, it's a study, it's a science, it's a way to purify your mind through meditation. It's a way to purify your mind through the asanas, and all those things work together in a really unique way to, again, purify, to heighten your consciousness, to open your mind, to quiet your mind, to achieve a different level of understanding of yourself in a non-judgmental way as well. So those are some things that I know that I can gain from yoga, is a way to get to an end and, of course, achieve the end. And being at the end is what yoga is as well. Personally, I've been able to, in my practices more and more often, down dog is a inverted pose, and many of you know it, in trying to get your heels down to the ground. Over the past couple of weeks, I found my heels coming way down further and further than I, of course, realized could ever be done. Breathe. Okay. The other success that I found in one of my 2 days ago, I think it was, I was doing a video through the Gaia app on my Apple TV, and she pushed us into about 3/4 of the way through. We ended up doing some attempted handstands, and I was surprised at how high I got. I've been wanting to get a handstand for a long time, and I hadn't got it just yet. And she had us in, she had us go into standing splits and then half moon pose, and then she had us hop up into handstand. And I'm like, whoa, I'm almost there. I'm almost there. So that was a really exciting achievement for me last week. Last two things, books and music. All right, so book-wise, I'm kind of going back in time to an extent. I found my iBooks application, and the iBooks application keeps a track record of what you've read and the day you finished it as well. And I was gonna find 2 books particularly, and I found those 2 books, but then I realized that I had a lot more books in the list of things too. So I'm gonna cover these 2 books first, and then come back later on in my next video and look at the other ones that I read. I think starting back from like 2015 or so, and then building up from there. 2 of the books are the 2 books are The Alchemist, which is this guy right here. Great story about a young man on a journey, discovering, and he also, in reaching his end, discovers some more and explores some more, and realizes that the end is somewhat of a beginning as well, like yoga. It's a great story about discovery. It's a great story about accepting where you are, and connecting yourself to a universal consciousness and a universal world. Haven't read it in a while. It's funny, I actually was recommending the book probably at least 8 or so years ago. Didn't read it, tried to get onto it, forgot about it, lost it, had it, whatever. And then it may have been let's see if I can pull up on my iPad real quick the date that I began it. A coworker of mine, friend, creative friend of mine, Kofi Carrington, he actually recommended to me working at Apple. And let's see. No, you're not. No, you're not. Okay. Well, anyway, Kofi put me onto that maybe 7 years ago. Found it again, maybe 5 years ago. Read it once, blew my mind. Read it again, maybe 3 years ago. Read it if you can get your hands on it. Read it. It's in iBooks. It's in paperback. It's everywhere. The author is Don Miguel. No, the author is Paulo Coelho. The next book is Don Miguel Ruiz, and that's going to be the book called The Four Agreements. The Four Agreements. The four agreements are as follows: be impeccable with your word. Don't take anything personally, which hit that hit me 2 years ago. Very, very, very hard. Don't make assumptions. Also, hit me hard. And then always do your best. The four agreements that if you live by those four things, your life will be pretty good. Those two books, again, I'm going to have a couple more coming. I'm going to look back into my history and pull some more from there. I have been doing the readings. I don't like to write, but I realize how important writing is going to be. So I've been reading it on my iPad for a while, and I've forgotten a couple of days, but I'm going to go ahead tonight and write out the statement of intent on getting money, on acquiring the money that I intend to have by this October. And we're going to work on reading that, of course, more often as the day and weeks and time goes on as well. Last two things. That's one thing. Last thing. Music. So I kind of want to do a flashback and like a current. So I'm gonna do the flashback this time to old songs that I know, and then next time I'm gonna do current of things that I found in the past like week or so. So number one artist, Mrs. Raven Lene. This girl right here. There she go. Let me tap to right to darken it. There we go. There she is right there. All right. That's Raven Lene. Forget how I found her, but she is a really, really, really good artist. Let me darken it back down. Good. Love her. Next up, Third Story. There we go. Really great group as well. Okay. Next group is going to be The Internet, particularly this album. They have, I think, 4 albums out right now. This is one of them, of course. Another one I think is called Hive Story. Another one is going to be something I didn't even realize were out until like last week or so. But this particular album, I can play any time of day at any point in my life and will be in a good mood. Real vibey, real smooth, bass heavy, just it's nasty good. And the last artist is a new artist that got signed under J. Cole's label, and I heard about her first off of his album, because she was featured on the first track, and then she was actually featured, one of her songs was featured on Creed 2. This girl named Ari Lennox, right there. Check her out. The single, of course, that I just showed you, Whipped Cream, she has an album out as well called Pho, Pho. Check her out. Good stuff, good vibes. And that's about it. Thanks, guys, for hanging out with me today for a little bit. For Table Talk with Titus. There's more to come. Next week, we're going to look at more books, more yoga, more about me, my stutter, and my smoothness and my fluency. More music. Yeah. All right. Check out my Twitter, The Fourth. My Instagram, also The Fourth. My website, seemeia.com for my blog, my yoga information, my photography, and that kind of thing as well. All right. Peace, love,